Hello everyone, welcome! We begin another episode of What's Happening in Brazil. Check out the past week's news.
On October 27th, former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva turned 75. Born in the countryside of the state of Pernambuco, he became a steelworker and union leader upon moving to São Paulo. He founded Brazil's biggest leftist party, the Workers' Party, and was the first president to hail from the working class. Lula is considered to be one of those responsible for lifting Brazil up and out of the world hunger map. Internationally, he advanced regional integration policies without the guardianship of the United States. Lula ended his presidency with a more than 80% approval rating and helped elect Dilma Rousseff as his successor in 2010. In 2018, he was arrested by the Car Wash anti-corruption investigation through a legal process seen by many jurists the world over as lawfare, meaning judicial maneuvering with political intent. Lula has been free since November 2019, after the Supreme Court recognized the illegality of his imprisonment that occurred before all legal appeals had been exhausted and a final sentence handed down. Over the past 3 years, 9 companies involved in cases of environmental crimes, land invasion, and violations of indigenous rights have received more than $18 billion from the world's biggest investment funds. The money comes from American companies like BlackRock and Bank of America, according to a report published this week by indigenous rights groups in Brazil and the Amazon Watch organization. Among the companies that received these funds are Vale and JBS. The study highlights that these companies are involved in an array of violations, including raising cattle on illegally deforested areas of conservation, toxic contamination of rivers, invasions of indigenous lands, and other threats that occurred mainly in the north of the country. The Amazon Watch Group stresses the fact that the pressure on these companies to find new frontiers of exploration is one of the main things that threaten and violate the rights of indigenous peoples in the Amazon, as well as something that has been incentivized by the Jair Bolsonaro government.
As the November municipal elections in Brazil draw near, the issue of political violence is put in the spotlight. Leaders of social movements and left-wing policies are the main targets for the attacks, like death threats, hate speech, as well as racist and homophobic attacks, both physically and virtually. This type of violence has a long history in the country, and protecting victims is hampered by the fact that the state apparatus is controlled by militiamen, who collude with police and state agents.
Rio de Janeiro National Congresswoman Talíria Petroni from the Freedom and Socialism Party reveals that she has received at least 6 death threats since 2016, when she was still a city councilwoman.
Some bodies are considered odd for politics, which has 2 spheres, the public sphere and the power sphere. Women don't belong in public places, much less black women, since we are not seen as having power either. So these oddities need to be eliminated somehow.
Research mapping electoral and political violence in Brazil between 2016 and 2020 shows that last year alone, there was 1 incident of political violence every 3 days in the country.
We saw a significant rise in cases of political violence between 2019 and 2020. It's worth noting something very important, that we saw a large number of black women and transgender people being elected throughout Brazil's last election cycle. We are also seeing a high number of attacks, threats, offenses, and slanders being directed to these parliamentarians.
Those supposed to protect people are often those responsible for the aggressions. Currently, the city of Rio de Janeiro has 60% of its territory dominated by militiamen, some of whom are accused in the murder of city councilwoman Marielle Franco and her driver, Anderson Gomes, in 2018.
When we are dealing with the militia, the worst thing about it is that it has pull within the state. It unites economic and military power, the power of the gun. Today, more than 2 million people in Rio de Janeiro live under the threat of militia groups. The latest threats made on my life led to no response from the institutions charged with investigating the case. So, unfortunately, I'm still under threat.
Hands that cultivate, that care, and share the food they have. This is the driving force behind the deeds of solidarity undertaken by the Rural Landless Workers Movement throughout Brazil. During the month of October, when World Food Day is celebrated, beyond satiating hunger, the movement's actions seek to denounce the latest agricultural policies coming from the Jair Bolsonaro government, which are leading the country dangerously close to a food crisis.
Yesterday we cooked some beans, 130 kilos of it. Today it will be 130 kilos of rice. The meat will come from outside, from a different settlement. The salad will come from outside too. The people will gather here because it's where we will make everything.
In a scenario of high food prices and the advancement of hunger, 3,000 ready meals produced in land reform settlements and encampments were distributed to a community in the state of Paraná.
This is not merchandise, this isn't a business. This right here cannot be an asset only for the rich in the world. So we are here in communion to assure that food gets to the table of all the people in the world, as part of a sacred right to life.
Organized by the Rural Landless Workers Movement in partnership with other social movements, the event that marked World Food Day celebrations counted on the work of many volunteers. Juliana was one of them.
Many families don't have anything to eat. Many parents can't feed their children. This day has to change the lives of many in Brazil and the world over.
However, hunger is expected to increase even more in the country. Till the end of the year, the total number of Brazilians living daily with hunger will be almost 15 million, according to estimates by the World Bank. Because of this, the event also denounced actions by the Bolsonaro government that have stimulated the agricultural sector to export goods abroad.
Since the start of the Bolsonaro government, family agriculture system policies have been completely dismantled. In the state of Paraná, the MST has already donated 435 tons of food since the start of the pandemic. This shows that our encampments are in fact productive, and then the peasant population, even without government assistance, is able to feed those who are hungry.
Thinking about others, right? Give. If you can give material things, donate your time. I have nothing to donate, so I am donating my time. At the same time, I'm receiving. I'm receiving more than what I'm giving.
Now it's time to get to know the delicacies of Brazil and Brazilianism.
Ei pessoal, eu sou a Carol Dini, autora...
Hi everybody, I'm Carol Dini. I chose a recipe that uses an entire cauliflower. I'm gonna make a really simple sauce, delicious, with leek. It's really easy to make. The cauliflower leaves you just have to keep to use in the juice. Throw some olive oil on them and put them in the oven till they are crispy. Don't throw them away, alright? I'm gonna put the leek, the saffron, salt, and a lot of olive oil and blend them together so we can sprinkle it on the cauliflower before putting it in the oven. To help blending, I cut up the leek a little. After mixing, the sauce will get this color and texture. Now we'll put it on the cauliflower. You just have to spread it all over the cauliflower. Do like this with the spoon so it can really get in there. Now that the cauliflower is well oiled, it will go in the oven for half an hour. Until it's really golden, crunchy on the outside, creamy on the inside. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Did you enjoy the video? If so, hit the like button and share with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on. See you next week.